Hello friends, it's Tony. I am coming to you live on video from the Dorkly bunker. It's Today in Nerd History.
Today in Nerd History!
Somebody dies in pretty much every Disney movie, but the House of the Mouse usually keeps it pretty clean. Most of the time, the camera tastefully cuts away before the villain hits the bottom of the pitch-black crevasse, and we're left to merely imagine the visceral wreckage of Gaston's corpse on the rocks below. But once in a while, Disney marches a gruesome death straight through the open gates of your subconscious. Here are 5 horrific deaths you forgot were in Disney movies. Beauty and the Beast's enchanted wardrobe crushes a man to death. Of all the sentient furniture in Beauty and the Beast, none is so sassy or irreverent as the wardrobe. Though she's probably the most physically intimidating of the living furniture, she remains a model of human transmogrified into bed-set decency. At least until the humans storm the castle. Holy shit! Oh, let's slow that down and watch that again. Farmer Jeb McCoe never had a prayer. His ribcage was crushed and spine instantly severed. It's a miracle that we're not seeing him spew liquefied organs out of his mouth. Say what you will about Gaston falling off a cliff, at least his poor family will be able to identify his body. Clayton is hanged in Tarzan. Disney's Tarzan might be a middling 88-minute music video for a middling Phil Collins song, but the villain is actually a pretty great creep. Clayton's thirst for slaughter carries through all the way to the climactic final battle. Even when Tarzan wraps him up in vines to slow him down, Clayton is willing to do anything to get free, even cutting up the only thing that's keeping him alive. Clayton goes out like so many Disney big bads, hoisted by the petard of his own butt-chinned hubris. But rather than conveniently disappearing into the same ambiguous death as Gaston and Frollo and Ratigan and the bad guy from Ninja Turtles 3, the vines around Clayton's neck tighten as he drops. Judging from the shadow, the vines tightened and snapped his neck instantly. But hey, it's a cartoon, right? Maybe he's still alive. Maybe he's only paralyzed from the neck down and has to live out his final moments in agony as he struggles for breath while his brain slowly dies. Combat Carl from Toy Story. Everyone remembers Sid from Toy Story. The sadistic, toy-torturing monster child made a swell villain for the original movie. Sid's staying power is in thanks part to his memorable introduction. In order to properly convey the threat that Sid posed to the toys, Pixar had to offer up a sacrifice. Oh, poor Combat Carl. An M80 has to mean instant death for a 1-ounce plastic man. Then again, he did blow into a lot of pieces, which puts him kind of at home with the rest of Sid's toys. It's almost as if every piece has its own consciousness, kind of like Mr. Potato Head's independent limbs, which would mean the dozen or so pieces of Combat Carl strewn across Sid's backyard are still alive. The head has it easy, but the arms and legs and other assorted pieces are left to scream silently internally forever, or at least until Sid crafts them into some other twisted abomination. But yeah, Combat Carl had to die, for story reasons. The end of the Black Cauldron. Hey, remember the Black Cauldron? Well, that's okay. Disney doesn't either. It's a wild, dark, and gory acid trip of a movie that got lost in Michael J. Fox's stranglehold of the 80s, coming out somewhere between Back to the Future and Teen Wolf. The Little Mermaid famously saved Disney, but only because the overblown Black Cauldron almost destroyed it. The movie centers on some kids who are hunting down the titular Black Cauldron, which is capable of raising an army of the undead. The skeleton soldiers are pretty gnarly, yeah, but the real horror comes when the cauldron's magic tears up the villain at the end. Please tell me that you see what I'm seeing. The flesh is being stripped from this man's body before exploding into flames. Look closely and you'll notice a fountain of swirling blood right before he explodes. Yeah, people melt and combust at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, but you never see living bones rattling in anguish as they are ignited by hellfire. Disney movies usually end on a happy note, but it's kind of hard to celebrate after somebody was just turned inside out and immolated. Mulan's massive body count. Look, I know Mulan is a soldier. It's war, and people die in a war. And when she blows up Shan Yu in clear homage to True Lies, that's just the nature of the beast. The Hun knew to expect some casualties while charging to Mulan and crew, but he probably wasn't expecting Mulan to cause an avalanche on a mountainside that happens to include hundreds, maybe even thousands of soldiers. That right there is the biggest on-screen death toll of any Disney movie, and while all but 3 Huns are erased conveniently by the avalanche, those deaths aren't instantaneous. Most are buried alive. And with the snowpack preventing movement and blocking off the air supply, anyone still alive under the snowdrift will have to suffer for 20 minutes or so before they finally suffocate. And this doesn't include all the horses they were riding. Innocent animals who are dying, scared, confused, and alone. And there's no indication that the hero who has just condemned hundreds to death feels any kind of remorse. Mulan will bring honor to us all, and excruciating death to our enemies. If these or any other cartoon deaths disturbed you, you can talk to me. I'm here for you. You can tweet me at Helpful Tony or leave a message in the comments. Just don't talk to me about that f***ing shoe from Roger Rabbit.